Joe Biden scored more election victories on Tuesday, the same day that he had a meltdown with a potential Michigan voter. Exit polls showed that Democrats don't like either Bernie Sanders or Joe Biden, and President Trump sends markets up with proposed tax relief. All that and more. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour.
God bless the United States of America.
All right, friends, welcome to the show. Happy Wednesday. I hope you're having a great week. We've got a lot to cover, and the main story are the elections from yesterday. What's going on with the Democrats running for president, and who's going to emerge victorious? Just a few weeks ago, Bernie Sanders was the odds-on favorite. He got the most votes in Iowa, won New Hampshire, won Nevada, and then everything started to change. People started to realize in the Democrat establishment, they got really scared, and they said, we got to rally around Joe Biden. We got to do something. He's going to win South Carolina. Let's set him up for Super Tuesday, which they did. So how did things go yesterday? Mini Super Tuesday, or as Joe Biden would say, Mini Super Thursday. 6 elections, 4 victories for Joe Biden. He came out looking great. He won Missouri, Mississippi, Michigan, and Idaho to Bernie Sanders, North Dakota, and Washington. And the thing about it is that in neither of Bernie's victories did he get over 50% of the vote. In Mississippi, Joe Biden got 82% of the vote. In Missouri, he got 60%. In Michigan, he got 53%. One of the weird things I thought was in Washington, Bernie Sanders won with only 33% of the vote, yet Michael Bloomberg and Elizabeth Warren still got hundreds of thousands of votes. I don't know if they either voted early or people are just sending a message that they still don't want Biden or Bernie. It's just amazing. But Joe Biden certainly added to his totals, certainly added to that delegate count, and certainly added to his momentum that he took from Super Tuesday through Mini Super Tuesday and on. What's that going to do for Bernie? It remains to be seen if he can regroup or if the steamroller is just rolling full steam ahead. Last night at his victory speech, here's what Biden had to say.
As I said from the beginning, this election is one that has character on the ballot. The character of the candidates, the character of the nation is on the ballot. It's more than a comeback, in my view, our campaign. It's a comeback for the soul of this nation.
Okay, so even right there, you can see where this is going. If Joe Biden becomes the nominee, and he likely will unless his gaffes and outbursts and memory lapses finally bring him down. But if he is the nominee, you see where this is going. It's about character. Basically because they have no argument that holds any kind of water. The economy is doing great. Unemployment is low. Regulations are low. Taxes are low. Trade deals are in effect, helping a blue-collar boom. But we're supposed to vote against all of that because Joe Biden is a nicer guy. It's about character. It's not the actual direction of the country, according to Joe Biden. And here's more.
The poor who are struggling, and they are struggling in this environment. The middle class worries about whether or not they're going to be able to hang on and stay there, maintain their economic security. They're the reason Jill and I got involved in this campaign in the first place.
All right, I just had to show you that because it's a typical example of how politicians will try and make a soundbite by either stating the obvious or saying something that's completely not true, and yet they'll say it anyway. He comes out and he says the poor are struggling. Well, guess what? Of course the poor are struggling. They're poor. But in this economy, they have been given the best chance of rising above it than in decades. And probably in my lifetime, we have an economic situation where the poor can actually rise up out of poverty and enter the middle class. This is the kind of economic situation we find ourselves in. Yes, the poor are struggling, but they're in the best shape that they can for advancement that we've seen in generations. Then he talks about the middle class being worried. If they're worried about anything, it's that things will go back to the Obama-Biden era. That's the only thing they could be worried about, because what he said about the middle class is absolutely 100% not true. The middle class wages are growing like they've never grown before. We've got historically low unemployment. People are working, they are saving, they are making more than they were. Wages are rising better than they were under Obama Biden, better than they have in 30 years. That is the Trump economy, and it is particularly affecting the middle class. Like I said, we have a blue collar boom. Manufacturing is coming back. People are working in those industrial states, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, states like that, states that voted for President Trump. Things are looking good for those economies right there and those workers. And Biden wants to divide. He wants to separate folks and say things that aren't true about the middle class. And it's absolutely pathetic. Here's more from Biden.
And at this moment, when there's so much fear in the country, when there's so much fear across the world, we need American leadership. We need presidential leadership that's honest, trusted, truthful, and steady. Reassuring leadership.
Oh my gosh, steady leadership? Reassuring leadership? I had to show you that clip because it leads right into our next segment, which is Joe Biden's meltdown from yesterday. Now, if you hadn't seen it, this is him touring a factory in Michigan in preparation for Mini Super Tuesday. And he has this profanity-laced meltdown with a worker there who's talking about the Second Amendment. And and now he tells people last night that he's going to bring steady and reassuring leadership. Check this out. So the guy has questions. He has questions about the Second Amendment. He tells the vice president, you're trying to actively take down, trying to actively end the Second Amendment. And Joe Biden says, you're full of bleep. He says that right to the guy in front of all these people. His handler tries to end this encounter. Joe Biden shushes her away so he can continue this. I bet these people, the campaign folks, are just freaking out after he's cussing at this guy. And then it continues.
Wait. Take your AR-14s.
So Biden's talking about AR-14s? What is he talking about? Surely he means AR-15s. And that's exactly what this potential voter, this worker, is talking about. Taking away our rights. We have a right to own these firearms, and he wants to take them away. The worker says, this is not okay. Biden responds by, I'm going to meet you outside? Seriously? This guy disagrees, doesn't like the direction that Biden wants to take us as far as the Second Amendment. And Biden's response is, I'm going to meet you outside. I'm going to fight you. This is presidential. This is reassuring. This is steady. It's outrageous. And here's more from that encounter.
A lot of guys want it. I'm not worried.
So that's presidential leadership right there. And the thing is, the worker is absolutely right. Joe Biden has said he's going to appoint Robert Francis O'Rourke to come get our guns. He's talked about that. O'Rourke has said he was going to take them, and Biden is embracing that. It's absolutely outrageous. So next, I want to talk about how the Democrats are reacting. They're the ones going out and voting for these guys. They've turned away the other candidates, and now it's Bernie Sanders, the far leftist, socialist, and establishment, I forget what I'm talking about, Joe Biden. Those are the choices. So how do the exit polls, how do they reflect the Democrats? Well, the Democrats are in a place right now somewhere between what the hell and are you kidding me? This is where they find themselves. This is what the exit polls are showing. And here's a report from the Washington Times. Democrats aren't very enthusiastic about Joe Biden at the top of the party's ticket. According to exit polling Tuesday, that showed only 41% of voters in Missouri and just 31% of voters in Michigan were enthused by the party's former vice president. Another 34% in Missouri and 40% in Michigan said they would be satisfied but not enthusiastic with Mr. Biden, according to CNN's early tallies of exit polling data. Michigan voters were more energized about Senator Bernie Sanders, Mr. Biden's chief opponent, with 39% saying they'd be enthusiastic with him as a presidential nominee. Not so in Missouri, where only 35%, less than Mr. Biden, would be enthused by a Sanders nomination. Those Michigan results could be a troubling sign for Democrats, with the state having gone narrowly for President Trump in 2016 and likely to play a major role this November. Troubling sign? Of course it's a troubling sign. You've got on the Republican side President Donald Trump running for re-election, 95% approval among Republican voters, 95% approval rating in poll after poll after poll. And now you have Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden, who people are holding their nose and voting for. They don't like these guys. I mean, Bernie Sanders is far left. Who's he rallying? He's rallying socialists and young people who want free stuff. Turns out they don't come out to vote. Older people are voting more than double what younger people are coming out. That tends to be a trend anyway. People always talk about, got to go get the youth vote. Well, Bernie Sanders is going to get the youth vote. They don't come out to vote. They're doing other stuff. Sorry to say, but everybody knows that. And again, they're going against President Trump, who is a very strong position with the economy, with the leadership, with the things that he has done on taxes and regulations and Supreme Court justices and other judicial appointments, on and on and on. The list goes on. And now I want to talk about what is going on with President Trump. One of the things, acts of leadership that he did just the other day, just yesterday, and the results of it. Okay, this deals with coronavirus. And I talked about it on the previous show and got, just gave you my thoughts on what is going on compared to how people deal with other diseases, other afflictions. And the media's hype. This is what I want to talk about today. The media and Democrats' hype to drive people into a panic when, yes, they should be prepared. They should be cautious, especially the elderly. The average age of a person who has died so far, which I believe is only 30 in this country, the average age of those who've died from coronavirus is 80 years old. 80 years old, okay? So there are people that need to be protected. But this driving people into a panic is absolutely unprofessional, unwarranted, and it shows an agenda. So that's driven down this coronavirus fears and how it's affecting the economy, has driven down the market. The Dow's dropped thousands of points, and the media wants you to freak out about it. They want you to think that it'll never rebound, that this is just the dark days, the sky is falling. So President Trump comes out and he says, you know what? I want to propose payroll tax relief, suspend it for a few months, maybe to the end of the year, to help the economy. Well, guess what happened? Dow went up to its third highest point gain in history because of that. Because of that, just that proposal, which shows presidential leadership. And what happens on the other side? The Democrats denounce it. Barack Obama proposed payroll taxes, and they praised him. It's just amazing. Here's a report from Fox News. Democrats are lining up to condemn President Trump's proposal to eliminate payroll taxes amid the coronavirus outbreak, even though many of them were lockstep in supporting former President Obama's 2% payroll tax cut in 2010. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is working with Democrat leaders on their own stimulus package and has suggested that a payroll cut likely won't be included because it amounts to tax cuts for major corporations. However, in a 2011 press release, Pelosi called a brief extension of Obama's payroll tax cut a victory for all Americans and said it would put nearly $40 per paycheck in the pockets of the American family. So, President Trump proposes something, markets react, Dow goes up, people are happy, they see what could happen. Democrats denounce it, even though they praised it under Barack Obama. And more from that press release from Nancy Pelosi. Here's what she said. Today is a victory for Americans, for the security of our middle class, for the health of our seniors, and for economic growth and job creation, Pelosi said at the time. The American people spoke out clearly, and thanks to President Obama's leadership, 160 million Americans will continue to receive their payroll tax cut, nearly $40 per paycheck in the pockets of the average family. I salute the work of the unified House Democrat caucus on behalf of the American people. That's the politics of the left. That's what's going on. President Trump shows leadership once again, and all the Democrats want to do is go after it. All the media want to do is try and create a panic, drive markets down, hurt the president. We see what's going on here, and we see through it. And the president, no matter what the Democrats throw at him, he has a way around it, and he ends up coming out ahead at the end. So, folks, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe, and when you do, please hit that bell so you'll be notified, and we'll see you next time. I'm Bobby Eberly. This is a 13-minute news hour. Okay, friends, just a little reminder before you go, and no, this does not count against my 13 minutes. Please hit the subscribe button below and tell your friends. And if you happen to miss our last show, you can check it out right here. And also for great conservative news and commentary, please check out GOPUSA.com. All right, folks, we'll see you on the next show. Have a great day.